Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your hostess, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So I'm gonna let this little video play, and I'm really mystified about the entitlement with homeless people. See, I kind of been touch and go with homeless content, with people who are saying that they're homeless, and sometimes you hear about the entitlement. This is why I have empathy. Let me first say I have empathy for homeless people. I really do, because that has to be one of the most difficult things to have to be, right? Where you don't know where your meals are coming from, a place to lay your head is not necessarily guaranteed, and you're just kind of exposed to the elements, and you're exposed to the mercy of people or the lack thereof and things of that nature. So I have empathy. However, what you come to realize as you kind of delve into homeless people, talk to them, kind of be around them, like be in the shelters and stuff, you realize why they're homeless. And that may sound callous, but it's the reality. And it's not just the women that do it. Homeless men do it too. I have seen just the homeless people in general be very entitled, very, hoity-toity. And that is a contradiction, because how you entitled, but you ain't got no place to stay, sir, ma'am. You know what I mean? It's like, what's really happening here? Life hasn't humbled you enough. This isn't humbling enough, where you have to be at the mercy of people, where you got to be in a shelter where maybe there's communal things. Nothing really truly belongs to you except the things you might have came in with, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. You don't really have anything, and you still feel entitled to whatever it is that you think people are supposed to be doing for you. That right there that's crazy. And if you are the type of person who deal with the homeless on any kind of regular basis, you'll know exactly what this video is about to show.
Explain to me why I can't get a fork. Yeah, explain. Due to low supply, but I didn't get lunch. I didn't eat lunch or dinner. Where's my fork from lunch and dinner?
You didn't get a meal.
Okay, so where's my fork?
If you read the sign, it tells you everything. That's not on me.
Sir, not because you low on supplies.
After the meal is closed, after the meal is over, we do not serve. I understand what you're saying, but it's not my responsibility, ma'am.
What I'm saying is, if that's the rule, DHS send meals for every single client in the shelter.
And there's a meal time. If you miss the meal time, that's it. That's not on me.
Don't tell me that's it, because I have a food pass. So if I have a food...
That means you can bring food in on your food pass. So any food you buy outside, you should get utensils outside.
Thank you. Give me a fork.
Ma'am?
What happened to my fork for lunch and dinner? I didn't eat a meal. So where's my fork from lunch and dinner?
Once lunch is over, that's it. You telling me about a meal that you missed, and you...
So where's my fork? That's my point. Where's my fork from lunch and dinner?
You was not here.
So what? Give me a fork now, because I want to eat my soup. Give me a fork.
You can ask them to give you...
Sir, explain to me why I can't get a fork.
Now, here we have several things. We've got entitlement issues. We also have comprehension issues as well, because it's not difficult to understand that, yes, there's a meal time, scheduled meal times in shelters, breakfast, lunch, dinner, what have you. You need to be present during the allotted meal times. Where breakfast is served, it's a finite amount of time. It's not all day or at your leisure. Lunchtime, same thing. Dinner time, same thing. So if you are not present to receive the lunch, the breakfast, the dinner, then you do not get the dinner, nor do you receive anything that might have been supplied with the lunch, breakfast, or dinner, including eating utensils such as forks and spoons. So it's not that difficult to understand it. You didn't get a fork because you didn't get a meal. You didn't get a meal because you were not here to get a meal. So once the kitchen is closed, once everything's put up, once everything's put away, we're not digging back in the closet, digging back in the pantry, going back in the room. We're not doing any of that to make a concession for you. Because if we make a concession for you, then we got to make a concession for everybody. And if we got to make a concession for everybody, what's the point of the rule? See, unfortunately, one of the reasons why a lot of people are homeless is because they don't follow rules. They have trouble with authority and structure. They have trouble with structure. They have trouble with authority. They have trouble with accountability. They don't want to be accountable to anything, to anyone, for any reason. And so therefore, once you get into a space of having that kind of trouble, where you can't really function properly in society because you got such a chip on your shoulder about folks can't tell you what to do and you do what you want to do, and you know what I'm saying, and you need to have the freedom to be able to do whatever, then homelessness gives you that freedom. But the trade-off is you don't get to have the convenience of food and shelter when you want it and when you need it. You want to be free of the shackles of society and society expectations and rules. That's fine. As a homeless person, you don't really have to answer to no job and to nothing else. But that's the trade-off. You don't get to be in a society that thrives off of structure and having an answer to this and answer to that. It is what it is. So if you're at the mercy of a shelter and the shelter has rules and says, okay, this is lunch, this is breakfast, this is dinner, you come at this time, you can eat, you know what I'm saying, your allotted share, your rations, you can get it, you can eat it right here, you can take it up to your room or whatever that you do with it. And we do allow you to bring outside food. So if you can afford to bring some outside food, she had a little cup of noodle soup, you can do that. We're not going to stop you from doing it. But at the same time, the rules of the shelter are the rules of the shelter. If you're supposed to be in the shelter at a particular time in order to secure your room and you don't get here, then your room is not secured. Point blank. And this is why I'm saying in many instances, when you start dealing with the homeless on a regular basis, or you working in a shelter or you working around them, you start to realize why the majority of people are homeless. You start to realize why they're homeless. You start to realize why. Because it's like, oh, this is why you homeless. This is why you can't even, you're not even in a position to receive help, because when somebody try to help you, when somebody try to, give you a leg up, when somebody tries to, you are so entitled to where you can't even be accountable to show up or to do small things that's within your power to do. If you are living at the shelter, you can't tell me that it's not within your power to show up for the meal times. And if you're not showing up at the meal times because you out looking for a job, or you out trying to make sure that you can find your way out of a shelter, that's fine. But you can't come back to the shelter and demand that they operate outside of the time slots, because that's not how it goes. That's not how that goes. There are shelters that have different programs to where the people that's in the shelter can take part and say, okay, placement programs, job placement programs, training programs. You know what I'm saying? There are shelters. I'm not going to say all of them do that, or all of them are even efficient at that. But there are sometimes those options. And even though the system is imperfect about how it implements those things, and that can be greatly improved, it be on the people too. Because if you're not going to show up and do the simplest of a thing in order to reach the next step so that we can, you know what I'm saying, keep you in progression, then we see why you in the position you in. We see why this lady homeless. And it's unfortunate, but we see it. Because you want to argue about simple stuff, a fork. When the bodega you got that cup of noodle soup out of, you should have asked them for a fork. She sound like she in New York. It's a whole bunch of bodegas and stuff. They got that stuff because they got grills and they got delis and stuff. So they got little forks and stuff. All you got to do is ask, hey, can I get one of them plastic forks? Or plastic spoons, whatever. They'll give it to you. Like it's crazy work. Anyway, jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, the Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.